Hi there, I'm Kimberly Eckert, and I live in West Baton Rouge in Louisiana, and I teach at Bruley High School and Port Allen High School, although in both instances it's virtual now. And what's really interesting about COVID and my experience in our physical schools shutting down and moving to more of a virtual space for several years, really since the beginning of my career, I started off teaching special education, and accessibility was really important to me. And equitable access to technology was really important to me. So from very, very early on, I knew that I wanted all of my students, whether I was teaching in a rural area or a more urban area, that I wanted every single kid to have amazing access and computer skills, because so many kids would get to me in high school and they had never typed before. They were spending so much time in interventions that they never had a true elective that gave them the same computer access. So over the years, all of my students have been able to design their own websites. Over the years, it wasn't uncommon for me to have class through Zoom. So Zoom was something that was not new to my students at all, and breakout groups and team projects, because of the way I teach. It's a really authentic teaching style. So my students have these personal projects. So I could sort of read the writing on the wall in March whenever things were happening. I also want my students to be really abreast of current events. So we've been having conversations in my particular class. I now teach Educators Rising, and I've taught these students English for a few years too. And we had been talking about that, if school shuts down, how will that affect students without access? How will that affect students who are hungry? How will it affect mental health? And so whenever the physical school shut down, my students and I didn't miss a beat. And that was something that I was very proud of, because as a teacher, we always wonder, are all the things that we do together, or are they gonna do those things when I'm not around? And so it was a really amazing experience, because whenever we would meet for class, we would continue learning, but my students were hosting Twitter chats because they were concerned about their peers who were isolated. And so they had Twitter chats coping with COVID. We had also talked a lot about equity and inclusivity in our classroom. It's a real theme, our classroom culture, and we're proud of it. And they were concerned for peers who maybe had reading disabilities. So they started doing recordings of assignments and quizzes and articles, so that if teachers wanted to, they could use those read aloud materials in their Google classrooms. I had other students that realized that their voices weren't really being represented in spaces. So they wanted to be panelists. So we would write proposals to serve as panelists for organizations like Stand for Children, so that they could have a teenage voice or talk to an actual senior in high school. So I was really proud, because we kept sort of the authenticity of our class alive. And we kept on trudging, we kept checking on each other, we kept doing all those things. And so now that everything sort of moved forward and the new school year started, there's still so much to learn about how to make effective schooling and education virtually. But I'm just so proud that there's so many more resources, so much more attention. My district has done really access for everyone more broadly. And I'm really excited about the possible changes. And I'm even more excited that my students have a confidence about them that even I didn't know was gonna kick in until we had no choice.